Good morning. So today is Martin Luther King Day here in the United States. It is a federal holiday celebrating the life and achievements of the influential humanitarian who became the most visible spokesperson and leader in the civil rights movement to end racial segregation in the United States of America. In honor of his inspiring and heroic example of leadership, I want to relay a few passages out of a sermon that Dr. King delivered. It was on February 4th, 1968, at Ebenezer Baptist Church in Atlanta, Georgia. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. would be assassinated exactly 3 months after this speech was given, April 4th, 1968. The speech is titled The Drum Major Instinct, which is speaking to the desire to lead the parade, a shorthand way of speaking about the relentless, though perhaps unconscious, desire to be number one. Dr. King in his sermon said, "Oh, I see. You want to be first. You want to be great. You want to be important. You want to be significant. Well, you ought to be. Yes, don't give up on this instinct. It is a good instinct if you use it right. It is a good instinct if you don't distort it and pervert it. Don't give it up. Keep feeling the need for being important. Keep feeling the need for being first. But I want you to be first in love. I want you to be first in moral excellence. I want you to be first in generosity. That is what I want you to do. You must first earn it. True greatness comes not by favoritism, but by fitness. Greatness is not a gift to give. They belong to those who are prepared. So if you want to be important, wonderful. If you want to be recognized, wonderful. If you want to be great, wonderful. But recognize that he who is great among you shall be your servant. That is a new definition of greatness. And this morning, the thing I like to talk about, said Dr. King, by giving that definition of greatness, it means that everybody can be great because everybody can serve. You don't have to have a college degree to serve. You don't have to make your subject and your verb agree to serve. You don't have to know about Plato and Aristotle to serve. You don't have to know about Einstein's theory of relativity to serve. You don't have to know the second theory of thermodynamics in physics to serve. You only need a heart full of grace, a soul generated by love, and you can be that servant. Dr. King ended his sermon with this, which would become foretelling.
Every now and then I guess all think realistic about that day when we will be victimized with what is life's final common denominator. That's something we call death. We all think about it, and every now and then I think about my own death, and I think about my own funeral, and I don't think of it in a morbid sense. And every now and then I ask myself, what is it that I would want said when I leave the word to you this morning? If any of you are around when I have to meet my day, I don't want a long funeral. And if you get somebody to deliver the eulogy, tell them not to talk too long. And every now and then I wonder what I want them to say. Tell them not to mention that I have a Nobel Peace Prize. That isn't important. Tell them not to mention that I have 300 or 400 other awards. That's not important. Tell them not to mention where I went to school. I'd like somebody to mention that day that Martin Luther King Jr. tried to give his life serving others. I'd like for somebody to say that day that Martin Luther King Jr. tried to love somebody. I want you to say that day that I tried to be right on the war question. I want you to be able to say that day that I did try to feed the hungry. I want you to be able to say that day that I did try in my life to clothe those who were naked. I want you to say on that day that I did try in my life to visit those who were in prison. I want you to say that I tried to love and serve humanity. Yes, if you want to say that I was a drum major, say that I was a drum major for justice. Say that I was a drum major for peace. I was a drum major for righteousness. And all of the other shallow things will not matter. I won't have any money to leave behind. I won't have the fine and luxurious things of life to leave behind. But I just want to leave a committed life behind. And that's all I want to say.
Now, how beautiful is that, right? And that should give you something to think about today. If you were to think about your own death and your own funeral, don't think of it morbidly, as Dr. King said. Think about your death in order to instruct you better on how to live. Think about your funeral and what you want to have said, to inspire you on how you want to show up. What do you want those in attendance of your funeral to be able to say about you on that day? What did you try to do? Who did you try to serve? Who did you try to love? Who did you try to feed, clothe, and visit? What contributions did you try to make? What were you a drum major for? These are some seriously important questions, the great questions of life, to ask while you are still vital and filled with life. Spoken in a eulogy is certainly too late to contemplate for the person laying in the box. So, today, jot down some thoughts in your Darren Daily Journal and share some of the issues and people that you will be a drum major for in the comments below.